Hello everyone, it is I, Mitch. We are back with new lists, and this time we are featuring the best horror games of all time. This list is a gift to all fans of horror survival, and will definitely make you shiver in moments. Without further ado, let's have a look at all the games. Coming up first, Outlast. It's a first-person survival horror game developed by veteran developers from Red Barrels. As investigative journalist Miles Upshur, you explore Mount Massive Asylum and try to survive long enough to discover its terrible secrets. The game is very true to its survival horror experience, means you are no fighter here. If you want to survive the horrors of the asylum, your only chance is to run and hide. Graphics are AAA quality, giving players a detailed, terrifying world very fitting to game. The gameplay is mostly stealth-based gameplay with some parkour-inspired platforming elements. Enemies are unpredictable, and the game's setting and characters are inspired by real asylums and cases of criminal insanity. The map design, the gore imagery, and the type of atmosphere this game gives is absolutely insane. If you are a fan of horror games, it's a must to try this game. Up next, Resident Evil 7. It's another entry in the renowned Resident Evil series, with a different style opening the door to a truly terrifying horror experience. It shifts to first-person view with good levels of immersion that brings the thrilling horror up close and personal. You play Ethan Winters, who suddenly receives word from his long-lost wife Mia that she is alive and needs his help. This brings Ethan to a ruined house in some swamps. Your primary enemies are the Baker family, who are insane characters rather than mindless zombies. Also, the atmosphere of the game is truly incredible. The atmosphere will get you thinking twice before rushing to the next area. This is an excellent action survival horror game, but often feels more like a Silent Hill game. But if you just want to play a good survival horror game, then you won't go wrong with this one. Coming in next, Alien Isolation. In this game, you play as Amanda, navigating through an increasingly volatile world as you find yourself confronted on all sides by a panicked, desperate population and a ruthless alien. You are underpowered and underprepared, so you must scavenge resources, improvise solutions, and use your wits, not just to succeed in your mission, but to simply stay alive. This game is a survival horror set in an atmosphere of constant dread and mortal danger. The player is stuck in a decommissioned trading station on the fringes of space, and to survive, you hack systems, search for vital resources, and craft items to deal with each situation. Note that it's a long game, so prepare to sink a good 20+ hours into it. Plus, the alien is very intelligent, so your best chance is to keep moving and remain out of sight. Perhaps the best survival horror video game you will ever play. Next, Amnesia Rebirth. It's a first-person narrative horror game and is sequel to the original Amnesia, The Dark Descent, where you have to pull together the fragments of your shattered past in order to survive the pitiless horror that threatens to devour you. The story takes place in the Algerian desert, where a woman named Tassi Trianon has to survive otherworldly-looking monstrosities with little more than her wits and some limited supplies. In order to progress further, a lot of exploration is to be done, puzzles to be solved, and limited mental and physical resources to be managed. You will encounter horrific creatures, and understanding the world is the only way to escape them. The management of resources plays a vital role in surviving the game's challenges, and the game has uncanny environments, from scorched deserts and dark caves to forgotten ruins and alien landscapes. Coming in next, SOMA, a sci-fi horror game from the creators of Amnesia, The Dark Descent. It's an unsettling story about identity, consciousness, and what it means to be human. You start the game with the radio going dead, food is running out, and the machines have started to think they are people. The featured underwater facility has suffered an intolerable isolation and needs you to make some tough decisions. You delve through locked terminals and secret documents to uncover the truth behind this chaos and seek out the last remaining inhabitants that take part in the events that will ultimately shape the fate of the station. Also, there are enemies such as corrupted humans, twisted creatures, insane robots, and even an inscrutable, omnipresent AI. Just remember, there's no fighting back. Either you outsmart your enemies, or you get ready to run. Must play for story-driven horror gamers. Next, Prey. In this game, you awaken aboard Talos, a space station orbiting the moon in the year 2032. You are the key subject of an experiment meant to alter humanity forever. But of course, a few things have gone terribly wrong. The space station has been overrun by hostile aliens, and you are now being hunted. There is a shadowy extraterrestrial presence on your spaceship bent on catching its prey. And as always, it's up to you, the last survivor, to end the deadly attack of these haunting predators. The players can gain alien abilities to develop a distinct combination of powers and upgrade your unique skills, craft items with the blueprints, gadgets, and tools on board the station. Prey lands somewhere between BioShock and Aliens Isolation. But Prey wins in the longer run for action-seeking players, as sneaking is mostly done early to mid-game. Later you go full-on blasting mode. Up next, The Evil Within 2. In this survival horror, you play as Detective Sebastian, who has lost everything, including his daughter. But when given a chance to save his daughter, he must descend once more into the nightmarish world of STEM. In these new horrifying domains, you can explore as far or less, but be ready for threats. Enemies are mainly horrifying creatures determined to rip you apart. To survive, you need to craft traps, sneak, run and hide, or try to battle the horror with very limited ammo. There are plenty of disturbing moments in this game. It's better not to eat while playing this. The gunplay feels punchy and satisfying, especially when you land that critical hit on the enemy. World exploration is done well here and synergizes with the upgrading systems in the game. Note that you don't need to have played the first game to enjoy this one, and the ending of this game is very much worthwhile. Next, Metro 2033 Redo. This is the definitive version of the classic Metro 2033, rebuilt with improved lighting, physics, and dynamic weather effects. All the improvements and features from the latest sequel, Metro Last Light, have all been transferred to Metro 2033 Redo. New players will get the chance to experience one of the finest story-driven shooters of all time. For those who don't know, its plot says, in 2013, the world was devastated by an apocalyptic event, annihilating almost all of mankind and turning the surface into a poisonous, cold wasteland. A handful of survivors took refuge in the depths of the Moscow underground metros. The year is now 2033, and you as the protagonist equip your gas mask and use an arsenal of handmade weaponry to face the threat of deadly mutants, human foes, and the cold, dangerous environment itself. For immersion lovers, you can witness one of the most atmospheric worlds of all time, brought to life with stunning next-gen visuals at 60 FPS. Next, Layers of Fear. It is a first-person psychedelic horror game with a heavy focus on story and exploration. Players take control of a painter whose sole purpose is to finish his magnum opus. The player must navigate through a constantly changing Victorian-era mansion to paint his true masterpiece of fear. You uncover the visions, fears, and horrors that entwine the painter and finish the masterpiece he has strived so long to create. Its camera system is a bit different sense of insanity, means each turn of the camera may completely change the look of your surroundings. You explore a game world inspired by popular 19th century paintings, architecture, and decor, and only through exploring the environment can you uncover the details of the painter's dark and tragic past. Some would call it a walking simulator, but we think it's better to term it as interactive haunted house game. Last but not least, Alan Wake Remastered. In this cinematic action thriller, troubled author Alan Wake embarks on a desperate search for his missing wife, Alice. Following her steps, he discovers pages of a horror story he has supposedly written, but he has no memory of. Wake is soon forced to question his own sanity as page by page, the story comes true before his eyes. Also, a hostile presence of supernatural darkness is taking over everyone it finds, turning them against him. Alan is armed only with his flashlight, a handgun, and his troubled mind. The tense, episodic story is packed with unexpected twists, heart-stopping cliffhangers, and intense bursts of combat where it takes more than bullets to banish the darkness. The game's cutscenes, quirky cast of characters, and the majestic Pacific Northwest vistas create an experience that delivers as much on its visual impact as its unnerving atmosphere. One of the best remastered games of its genre. And that wraps up our list of best horror games of all time. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing to us to see more videos like this in the future. See you next time.